Welcome back. Well, the new chairman of the House Select Committee on China, John Mulinar, is warning that there's, quote, an alarming lack of urgency from the administration to adopt defensive measures to protect American military bases in the Indo-Pacific against potential Chinese attacks. In a letter to the secretaries of the Air Force and Navy, Mulinar writes this: American military bases in the Indo-Pacific are under threat. With its current strike capabilities, China can attack all U.S. bases in the region. An unclassified analysis suggests China has enough weapons to overwhelm our air and missile defenses protecting those bases. Joining me now is Gatestone Institute senior fellow and author of The Coming Collapse of China and China is Going to War, Gordon Chang, back with me. And Gordon, I want to get your take on this because increasingly we keep intercepting Chinese nationals who are trying to get information from our military bases. Whether or not trying to break into military bases, you've got the surveillance balloon hovering above military bases a year ago. It's all about stealing information and understanding what the United States is doing. So what is the administration? Does it not? Is it aware of this, do you think?
Well, it has to be aware of this, Maria, but the point here is that it's doing extremely little. There is almost no sense of urgency in the Oval Office, and there's almost no sense of urgency at the top levels of the Pentagon. So we've got a problem in both civilian and military ranks. You look at U.S. bases in the region. I think that there's going to be very little left standing after the first hour in a war unless U.S. countermeasures work. And right now, that is the big unknown. But clearly, China has more missiles than we have defenses.
I mean, Monica, it's incredible to me that the administration is doing nothing about this, despite the fact that we've got these signals that they want all this information from our military bases. This is such a national security risk. And yet, what do? We send all these administration officials to Beijing to kiss the ring of Xi Jinping. Have you seen any progress in terms of our, quote, militaries communicating, which is what they claim they want to do?
Well, it's not really a surprise since we now have a commander-in-chief who is completely compromised with regard to the Chinese Communist Party. He and his family have taken tens of millions of dollars from the CCP and CCP-related entities. So, of course, there is no incentive on the part of Joe Biden or anyone in his administration to take more aggressive action with regard to China. So there's been a free-for-all, including on the border.
So is that why, in fact, we have seen no pushback, Gordon, on COVID? And you know, China allowing COVID to leak out of that lab and unleash it on the world. The House Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic Chairman Brad Wenstrup confirming what we already knew. He said that the classified State Department records, quote, credibly suggest COVID originated from the lab leak in Wuhan and the Chinese Communist Party tried to cover it up. This is something that I've reported on this program for years from day one. And Chairman Wenstrup joined me here and said exactly this back in 2023. Watch this.
You have seen, Maria, what we've revealed through the subcommittee on the pandemic is the internal documents from the people that are saying this came from nature, nothing to see in China necessarily, yet internally they're saying, oh, it very likely could have come from the lab. Even Dr. Fauci said, we know they're doing this type of research in Wuhan.
Gordon, the administration hasn't held China accountable at all. Earlier this week, Wenstrup wrote a letter to Secretary of State Anthony Blinken. He's requesting that he declassify the records to share the truth about the origins of COVID. Why hasn't this been done already? It's been 4 years.
Well, it's because you have, for instance, the World Health Organization, which is dominated by China, and Anthony Fauci have led the charge among the scientific community to propagate the ludicrous notion that this disease was caused by bats in Yunnan province who transferred the pathogen to an intermediary mammal that went 1,000 miles to Wuhan and then made the jump to humans. No documentation for these transmission links. And by the way, Maria, you have Joe Biden at the end of this month is determined to give more power to the WHO, actually dictatorial power in pandemics and before pandemics, because Biden wants to sign the pandemic treaty, which basically eliminates our sovereignty and our ability to defeat diseases in our own country, because those decisions will be made in Geneva by Dr. Tedros, who China owns.
Wow, that's incredible. Meanwhile, Chinese President Xi Jinping is in Budapest today. He's got meetings with Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban and other officials as he's wrapping up this three-nation European trip. Xi is expected to sign at least 16 bilateral agreements with Hungarian officials during this visit. He signed an agreement to build a, quote, shared future with Serbia. Gordon, what's the impact of this trip?
Well, this is basically going to undermine EU rules on subsidies. You know, his first stop was France, where the major discussion were Chinese subsidies to EV makers. Well, Xi Jinping is able to evade that by building a battery plant and a car plant, which are now under construction in Hungary. That's inside Europe. That's more important inside the European Union. And that makes it very difficult for Brussels to deal effectively with China's predatory trade practices, because Hungary is essentially China's ally and is doing China's bidding.
I mean, recently the administration said that it was going to put sanctions on certain companies and push back on the threat of those companies taking intellectual property secrets. Are you expecting anything to really materialize here?
Well, the Biden administration will do the minimum necessary, and they, for instance, will, strengthen their restrictions on chips and chip-making equipment. They will stop the export of AI software to China, which is a good thing, but it's too late. These are things that the Biden administration should have been doing on day one. Now they've got an election looming, so they decided that they need to do something about China, but they don't have their heart in it, Maria, which is a real indication, as Monica just talked about, the motivation of the Biden administration not to do things on China, or to do them at the very last moment because they know that they have an election looming in their future.
Yeah, and they also claim that they try to convince China to stop the support of Russia in its war in Ukraine, and yet virtually all the Chinese companies supplying Russia, including military support, are present in U.S. index funds. Okay, so U.S. investors, once again, unwittingly or wittingly, funding the expansion of communist China, moving hundreds of billions of dollars a year into the coffers of the CCP, thanks to Wall Street executives, thanks to this administration not making any changes to the companies that trade on our exchanges.
Yeah, as Roger Robinson has said on your program, you have, for instance, the 401k of the federal government, the thrift savings program plan. They can invest in Chinese companies that are sanctioned by the Commerce Department. This is just insane. It's hideous. And yet we allow this to go on. We know from day one that China has been supporting the Russian war effort in Ukraine, including with lethal assistance. President Biden says that lethal assistance is a red line. He's been saying that for 3 years, and yet they've done almost nothing. I mean, it's really wrong. I mean, the only thing they did was like 2 weeks ago when they sanctioned some Chinese companies, and that was a meaningless sanction, because what they really need to do is go after the Chinese banks, and they need to go after the regime itself, because that is the source of this evil.
Are you any thoughts on TikTok suing the U.S. government now for this proposed ban?
TikTok said that it would raise a First Amendment challenge in the courts when the legislation was enacted. This is not a First Amendment issue, though, because this legislation is not going after the content of videos on the site. It's going after the conduct of TikTok. For instance, surreptitiously and illegally stealing the data of 170 million Americans. And by the way, the CEO of TikTok in late January said that this was not happening, which means he was committing perjury, because we know from sources such as Forbes, Fortune, and BuzzFeed that TikTok has been stealing all the data that's collected in the U.S. and sent to Beijing.
Wow.
So I think the Justice Department needs to start a prosecution of the TikTok CEO.
Well, we'll see about that as the Biden campaign is still on TikTok. I mean, what a joke. Gordon, thank you. We'll be watching all of that.